We're going to bring the Affordable Housing Committee meeting to order in a second. We're looking for a quorum in the hallway. What do we need? 50% plus one?
You just need 50%. You need 6 because you got 11, right?
Oh, yeah. You're right. It is 11. Well, we're not going to magically find somebody. All right. We'll bring the Affordable Housing Committee meeting to order. Looks like we do not have a quorum. We've got 5 of our 11 members. So we were going to do 2 things today. One required a vote, and we're not going to be able to vote on that. But it's Resolution 965, which did get approval from the Budget and Finance Committee, so we should be okay for tomorrow still. The other thing we were going to do today was get an update from Ms. Harris about the HIP program. So I'm going to let her give us an update about that.
Good evening. Thank you, Councilman Mendez. We've been working hard. As many of you know, we've had some applications come in for the Housing Incentives Pilot Program, and we've made some revisions just to make the process a bit more efficient. We now are thinking of making it a competitive process for the opt-in existing properties versus the first come, first serve. What you have before you are the revised policies and procedures. We already had policies and procedures for the Housing Incentives Program. And if you don't have a copy, Morgan can certainly get you one. So some of the changes in the policies and procedures document include adding in BL 2016-133 information. Initially, they were operating on kind of 2 separate tracks, and so we did not have the 133 information in the actual policies and procedures. So we've done that. On page 2, we now have the actual chart that's included in the legislation. We were getting a lot of questions from developers saying, why do I have to look at both pieces of legislation? Why can't it be included in the policies and procedures? So that's page 2 is really adding in the chart and the information so it's in one place. The other changes are related to the competitive process, which starts on page 6. And so we were initially doing a first come, first serve, and a developer would apply online. We would review it and then bring the grant agreements to you for approval. What it would do now is we would earmark a certain amount of that $1.75 million is allocated for HIP for a competitive process. So, and we do have some of those applications that are still out there that will most likely still be a part of this pool. I think that's probably the fair way to deal with it, being that they've been kind of waiting on us to tweak the program. The main differences in this process would be they would still submit the same information, but then they would get, we would look at some preferences. So you'll see on page 7, if they're providing over 5 units of workforce housing, if they're providing 2-bedroom units, or 3 or more bedroom units, then there's some additional preference consideration there. And then the last ones are really if they, some additional things that we've heard are things that we should consider, including LEED or energy efficiency, as well as any partnerships that they may have with nonprofit affordable housing developers. And then the timeline, like we want to make sure that we get these units as quickly as we can. So if they are able to provide us the units on a quicker pace, then we definitely want to give them some additional consideration. So one idea is that if this committee is okay with some of these changes, and we will send this out electronically also, if the committee is comfortable with these changes, then we can move forward and possibly start with a round in December. I mean, it is probably a pretty quick turnaround. We have sent this out to a few developers, and we've gotten some comments from them, and there are a couple in the chamber that came just to make sure they could also voice any questions and comments to you as well, but they have certainly been one of the first applicants with the HIP program, so.
Let's see, Council Lady Allen?
Thank you. So far, have we awarded any? None have been awarded yet. How far are we into the 3-year period?
We are so both bills were effective in September, but not effective. They were passed in September and not effective until June of this year.
June of 2017.
Right.
Okay, so we're just halfway into the first year. And did we get a full 3 years out of it?
I believe it says 3 years of the enactment of the legislation.
Okay,
So I
and
think
then-
we're looking at the September date and not the June date, but I'll double check on that.
Okay. And then we have a sunset and reevaluation period on that. Is there a possible sort of grid that will be created of a range of points that might be awarded, or is it still fairly subjective in terms of how much you give for lead or how much you give for short time frame?
We talked about doing a point system, and one of the challenges with that is with Barnes, it's a little bit differently because most of the developers are used to some of the affordable housing predictions and the restrictions on the funding. When it comes to private developers, how do you score that? Because one suggestion was, well, maybe if they are providing, if Metro is providing less subsidy, then they get additional points. Well, if they're providing more affordability, then they have to get more subsidy in
Right.
order to provide that affordability.
Right.
So it's one of those where it's difficult to range it on points. So we are thinking of a Metro internal review team made up of folks from Metro Finance who are used to this grant system, and then also ECD representatives as well, just so we can kind of look at all of them at one time.
Okay. And you're saying, I mean, I appreciate the importance of making sure we spend this money well, because it is limited. And theoretically, once we get somebody on board, then they're on board for the second year as well. So if we get it all allocated the first year, then that may be our group those 3 years. Is that correct?
That's right.
Gotcha.
I mean, and the reason why we earmarked $1 million of the 1.7 is so that there would be some funding for any inclusionary housing ordinance applicants, so
Great.
that we're not restricting that ordinance, that we do still have that flexibility.
Good, and I appreciate that. And then second, you mentioned conversions of existing as opposed to new construction, and, you know, just what's the definition of new construction? Is it based on UNO grant? I mean, permits being granted, or how do you make that distinction?
So the ordinance currently says at the time of application. So if they have not received their building permits at the time of application, then it's new construction. The question becomes, you know, since a couple of these applications came in well before they got their permits and now they're at permit, do we now consider them to be existing conversions because they're all at, you know, the UNO stage, or in some cases they may be leasing, but the ordinance actually says at the time of application.
Oh, that's okay, so that's clear. I mean, that seems fair to them, because we've been on a learning curve figuring out how to do it. I think that's appropriate. So originally, the total amount in my mind was $2 million, but some of this is also being spent on administration. Is that how we got back to?
With so just for this budget year, initially it was $2 million, and with this last budget cycle, it was cut to $1.75 million. So
Okay.
it's $1.75 million, and then minus the administrative cap, and I can get you that number. I want
Okay.
to say it's still right
that
around
sounds good.
1.7.
And so your thought is, if we have a round in December, which I would certainly encourage getting something going quickly, you think the turnaround could be like within a month, or?
We think 30 to 45 days to give folks time to understand the program and to be able to ask us questions. Certainly, Matt Wilshire in ECD has been going around to all of the kind of housing industry groups and commercial real estate groups promoting the program. And so we would want to make sure we give them plenty of time also to apply for it.
I appreciate that. And then do you see it as a quarterly process with sort of some fixed deadlines so people will just know what to shoot for, or just when you get a critical mass, you'll follow it around, or how do you see doing that?
So if this were Matt speaking,
What would Matt
he
say?
would say that all of the funding would be allocated as soon as we open it up. And that's really our hope. I mean, we would hope that once we put this $1 million out, that there would be so many applications in that we would be able to provide those grant agreements to you at one time for X amount of units and X amount of dollars, $1 million.
And we're done. Okay, so maybe in December, this whole thing breaks loose.
That's the hope.
That would be great. Okay, thank you. I appreciate all the work y'all have done on it.
Councilor Gilmore?
Thank you so much. So I was trying to understand the total now for 2018 is 1.75 million? Okay. And explain to me what happened to the other, I guess.
250.
Yeah.
During this last budget cycle, it was one of those things. I think this program, as well as the small business incentives program, were both cut due to the budget cycle.
Okay, so it just got cut to.
Yeah.
And then the second piece is I wanted to see if there were some incentives for persons that qualified that we consider to be DBEs, whether they were African Americans, women, in terms of development. Are there opportunities in here for them to get? I know you're prioritizing it in other ways if they fulfill a certain amount of units or if they're located in a certain area, but what about in terms of that, or if they have a certain number of units that they're doing, like 2-bedroom?
For the competitive pool, the whole idea is it's for any existing owners. And so we can make sure that we do a good job of marketing it to developers. But it's for existing owners who are interested in converting any of their units.
Okay.
For the new construction piece, certainly I think we probably could do more as far as educating and letting folks know about the incentives that are available. And we can make sure we get that information out.
Okay, good deal. And then I have a question for Attorney Jameson. So this 20% wouldn't apply to this program because it's, I mean, what would keep it out of the loop from the 20% of applying from the overall metro goals? Okay, so should it apply then? Shouldn't it apply? That's stated as a goal. Right, that's fine. But I think we just need to include it, though, if it's a part of it. I guess it needs to be streamlined throughout, and there was no mention that we make a concerted effort. And so then I also had another question. So it says the program is for 3 years, but they have to have 15 years of rental commitment
Right.
of affordability.
The affordability period is 15 years.
Okay.
If there's funding availability. And because this program is a pilot program, it's an annual grant agreement. And so we'd have to, the hope is we're kind of keeping track of how much it would be per year. But it would all depend upon if there's actually funding in each budget year.
So do they have to reapply each year, or is once you get it, you're good for those 15 years?
That's right. The grant agreement says 15 years upon funding availability.
Okay. And then another piece was, it says the Director of Finance and the Mayor's Office will have a program administrator to monitor this. Is there someone already in place for that?
Yes, we do. We have a third-party administrator.
Okay, so can you just tell me a little bit about the third?
Sure. It's a property management company. Freeman Webb is the property management company that assesses every single application that comes in. They also train the property management company on how to do income verification, and then they also go through the annual certification process.
Okay, yeah, Freeman Webb's a really good company. Now, was that bidded out, though, or how did we do that?
It was.
Okay, so it was bidded out. Okay, good. And then I have my last question, and then I'm through. So I wanted you to just explain this chart. This is a newly implemented chart, right, on page 2?
Well, this chart was included in BL 2016-133.
Okay, but it says combined versus it being 2 separate ones?
Initially, this chart was only in that legislation. What we've done here in the policies and procedures is we wanted to include that chart because it's really critical for developers to know what percentage of affordability they need to include. And what I found when I was working with the different developers, I was going to BL 2016-133, then also going to the policies and procedures, as well as BL 2016-342. So trying to just put them all in one.
So I wanted to see if you could just kind of walk me through that, maybe just not the whole chart, but just the first row, and then I'm finished with my questions. So thank you, Mr. Chair. So that's my last question, just that first row, if you could walk me through that.
So if a developer is requesting increased residential entitlements and their building is 3 to 6 stories, so if you look over on multifamily uses, 3 to 6 stories, which is the 4th row down, If they're providing rental units at 60% or below of the median household income, then they have to provide 10% of their total residential floor area for affordable housing. If you continue on, if they do rental at 60 to 80%, then they would provide 20.5% of their total residential floor area. So all of their floor area in their building, 12.5% of that would have to be dedicated to the workforce component. No, they provide to us a plan in BL 2016-133. They have to provide a plan, and then you have the grant agreement that's assurance to say we're funding the affordable and workforce, and then that annual certification. If we find that the units are not being, rented out at the rates that they identified in their grant agreement, then that funding will not go for the next year. Unfortunately, it's an annual basis, but we also, we said that we would provide the funding on a monthly basis, but we don't receive the actual tenant roll until that year.
Thank you, Councilor Gilmore. Ms. Harris, two questions. One, what Councilmember Gilmore raises about apartment building owners that are in minority groups that might not necessarily have as complete a representation in the like NAIOP and other groups for larger owners. I think if you could think about ways to make sure that all owners get reached out to know about this program, I think we'd all appreciate that. And then the second question is, do you need formal approval from us to move forward with the new guidelines?
I don't think it requires any legislative. I'll check with Mr. Jameson tomorrow just to be sure, but I don't think it requires any legislative changes. What it says in the legislation is that the mayor's office is going to create a policies and procedures document, and so this is essentially acting as the policies and procedures document for the program. And just to add, we have been meeting with different real estate groups in the North Nashville area and just making sure that they're, for sure in the North Nashville, I know we probably need to do more, making sure they are aware of both Barnes Funds and the Housing Incentives Pilot Program.
Thank you. And I know there's only, I guess, 4 committee members still here, but I have the sense that of the 4 that are here, we would like them to move forward as quickly as possible. If anybody feels differently, raise. All right, great. Hold on. Councilor Allen?
If I can ask one more question. And then just to clarify, if someone is doing new construction, they haven't gotten their UNO permit as opposed to a conversion, they're not necessarily subject to the competitive process. They're on the front end in that different pool of money. Is that correct?
If they've applied before, I think then we can certainly consider that. I think if they come in at the December point, I think that's probably going to be considered existing because it's past the building permit stage. And that's all the legislation says is at building permit. So if they've already received building permits, I would think that might be, it's that gray. So I think we'd have to rely on the existing conversion.
So you're saying just the building permit to start breaking ground if they didn't apply until, not whether it's occupied or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only kind of trigger that's in the 133 bill. So it doesn't really specify when it's actually existing, other than the fact that we anticipate that the units would come online as soon as that grant agreement is approved.
Okay.
So we can give that some further consideration.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, I think that's it then for our committee meeting. Thanks for bearing with us. Started 45 minutes late due to the other meetings. Thanks, Ms. Harris and Ms. Manso, for coming.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.